So now we go back to our tactics of building our first $1 million. The next thing at level 2 is our offer. Now, I wrote an entire book on this thing, $100 million offers. It answers the question, what should I sell? And it's because that's the most common question that I get asked every single day for people who are trying to start a business, which makes sense. What am I supposed to sell? So I call this the value equation. Now, fundamentally, you've probably heard all over the internet, you need to provide value. You got to give value, right? But the question is, what is value? And after doing a lot of studying of figuring this out between our portfolio companies, it actually comes down to 4 variables. Variable number 1 is the dream outcome. What the dream outcome is for whoever the prospect that you pick is, the way that you can compare 2 different dream outcomes is how much more valuable do they think one outcome is versus another. If I were to talk to a 30-year-old man and say, hey, I can help you lose weight or I can make you a millionaire. Most guys would value being a millionaire more than, let's say, being handsome. There are different outcomes that people will ascribe different values to. And that's just a very extreme example. Well, let's use the weight loss example and let's switch it to women. If I have one ebook that helps someone lose weight, and then I've got a one-on-one personal training program that helps someone lose weight, it's the same dream outcome. So then what then determines which one is more valuable? Because the ebook might be $50 and be overpriced, and the personal training might be $5,000 and be underpriced. How can you make that discrepancy? Because there's more value. Let me explain. The next one is perceived likelihood of achievement, meaning when I buy, how likely do I think I will get what I want through buying? If I buy a $50 ebook on good meals that I can cook that are healthy, maybe I'll get some food that I might like in here and I can feel a little better about myself. But they don't realistically think that they're gonna all of a sudden transform their entire body from a $50 ebook. Now, if you sign up for personal training for a year, you probably have a way bigger perceived likelihood of achievement, and so you value it higher. Now, both of these elements, the dream outcome and the perceived likelihood of achievement, are the things that you want to increase in your communication with a prospect. You're saying it's really, really likely that you're gonna get this thing that you really, really want. The next 2 variables of the equation are the painful side of the equation, which is what does someone have to give up in order to get it? So the first thing that we have is time. And there's 2 elements of time. There's micro and macro. Micro is how long is this gonna take every day? There's a certain amount of time that's gonna take on the micro for them to experience the result, right? So if I'm talking about the lady who's doing personal training, she might have to go to the gym 3 times a week. That's gonna take time. She might have to prepare food. That's gonna take time. That's on the micro level. On the macro level, how long is she gonna have to do these micro commitments in order to get the macro result that she wants? She might have to lose 50 pounds and it might take her 18 months. So macro, the goal is I want this to be as little as possible micro time, and I want this to be as short as possible on the macro, so that when I say, hey, you're gonna get the dream body you want, you absolutely know that you're gonna get it, and it's gonna happen really, really fast. So the next thing is effort and sacrifice. Effort is what you have to start doing that you weren't doing, that you don't want to do as a result of the purchase. Sacrifice are things that you have to stop doing that you wish you could do, but can't do anymore as a result of the purchase. And so for our lovely young lady, she's gonna have to sacrifice Margarita Mondays and Taco Tuesdays. She's no longer gonna be able to get to do that even though she wants to do that. She's gonna have to sacrifice sleeping in on the weekends, and she's gonna have to start waking up early and working out and eating food that she doesn't like. And so effort and sacrifice tend to be dual sides of the same coin. Whatever you have to start doing, you typically have to stop doing something else. The top side, we try and increase. The bottom side, we try and decrease. We want to get it to 0. Because if you think about this in a hypothetical extreme, the perfect offer that would have the absolute most value would be the biggest, most compelling dream you can possibly imagine that you're absolutely guaranteed to get instantly with no effort. So if I said you can click a button on my website and then look down at your abs and then have a 6-pack, that would be the hypothetical extreme value. Now, people can get that through personal training, changing their diet, and waiting 12 months. But because of this, the value is significantly decreased because there are costs associated. Understanding all 4 of these variables is how you craft offers that get people to say yes and give you money. Because oftentimes, the most expensive part of the offer that you have isn't the money. It's the other things that they have to start doing as a result of the purchase. Those are called hidden costs. If I have a marketing agency, okay, and I do content for people, all right, and when I start doing content, I say, okay, it's gonna take us 60 days to ramp up. We're gonna start having 2 calls a week for an hour. You're gonna have to fly out to my studio and we're gonna record. And it's gonna take 60 days before you're gonna start seeing any kind of traction. Imagine that offer compared to somebody who says, you don't need to do anything. I can just draw stuff on my own, immediately start posting, and your phone's gonna ring today. well, shoot, which one's more valuable? It's still the same core services, but how we wrap them make them probably 10 times more valuable than they were before. And that's why understanding these variables and making the right offer is so compelling on your road to your first million. And the reason this was my first book is that Offers is about strategy. Offers is one of the largest levers that you can pull with any business because it actually affects all departments. When you change the offer, it changes how you market. When you change the offer, it changes the sales script, the sales process. When you change the offer, it changes what you deliver. It literally affects everything. And so for us, we always try and nail this with our portfolio companies at acquisition.com. To be clear, we don't sell coaching. We invest in businesses and buy them. And for context, our average portfolio company over the first 12 months, 1.8x is revenue and 3.01x is profit. And over their first 24 months, they 2.8x revenue and 4.7x profit, meaning that they disproportionately drop the increase in revenue to their bottom line because we make sure that the thing that we are selling is as valuable as humanly possible.